I am just going to return to the scary subject of self-harm. I'm going to be talking for about 10 minutes. So if you feel this would be a difficult subject for you, now's the time to put us on mute and go and make a cup of tea. So self-harm is when someone hurts themselves on purpose as a way of trying to manage distressing or overwhelming feelings and experiencing. So someone who is self-harming might be dealing with lots of intensive thoughts and feelings, and hurting themselves may be the only way to cope. Or they might feel numb and they're hurting themselves in order to feel something. If your child is self-harming or you're concerned that they might be, it is incredibly worrying and upsetting for you as the adult in their lives. The most important thing to remember is that you and your child are not alone. Lots of young people go through this and they come out the other side with different ways of coping with these difficult feelings. We're just going to play you a short clip of young people explaining how their parents' reaction to what was happening played such an important role.
It was shock, it was devastation. It was one of total disbelief. I knew about self-harm, but didn't ever expect it to happen to my little one. And I just put my arm around her and I said, it might help if you talk to me and we try and find, some way of helping you get through this.
My mum felt it was her fault. She was blaming herself for it, so it kind of made me feel bad because I know it's not her. But then to this day, she still thinks it was partly her fault. I don't want to put everything on them. I don't want to be watched constantly. I don't want people to see me as that person.
Trust yourself. Although at the time you think you haven't a clue what's going on, you probably have. Just remember that actually it isn't actually all about you, and you are okay as a parent still. And just keep talking. That is really fundamental.
My mum and my dad came up into my room, and you know what, they did something that was brilliant for me. They had accepted it. They didn't shout at me. They didn't tell me off. And that's exactly what I needed. I just needed that support, and they gave it to me, and I'll be ever grateful.
I think it's really important to have the trust, because if they don't trust you, then they're not going to be open with you. Everything's going to be secret. And then when you know the problems, you get the professional help. It's important to get the professional help.
It was definitely like a weight off my shoulders, because I've always known that these people care about me. I feel very lucky to have a lot of people around me, like all my friends, my boyfriend, my parents, and other people in my family. That's a very positive thing that has come out of this, being able to communicate a lot more with them.
She's done brilliantly, but it had to be when she was ready, on her terms and not mine. And that as a parent is hideously hard.
It took some time, but yeah, I have my moments, I have my days. Before I didn't have aspirations, but now I do, and I see a future.
So just some recognition there in that clip of how hard it is when you find out that your young person is self-harming. It is a reminder not to blame yourselves, but the best way to support your teenager is definitely through communication and that relationship that you're building with them. Over the long term, becoming more aware of how they feel when they self-harm, what's making them feel this way, and what kind of things will help, will empower and help your child to feel more in control. It will hopefully reduce the sense of being overwhelmed and that feeling that they need to self-harm. When that urge to self-harm does build, having a list of things that they can do straight away can help. Young people often talk to us about riding that wave until the feeling or the urge goes away. Do remember here that different things will work for different people, and what helps usually depends on the feelings that your child is trying to manage. So some young people will want to do something really soothing, like wrapping themselves up in a comfy space, while others might want to do something very active to burn off the energy in their body. So I'm just going to go through a few things that you could have in your toolbox to try to use to support your young person, really. And don't forget, every single young person is different. What works for one might not work for someone else. So writing down how they're feeling in a journal. So journaling is a great tool for expressing how we feel. There are some really good ones on the market. They make great gifts for birthdays and celebrations. You can get all kinds of mindfulness colouring now, or actually just writing down difficult feelings on a piece of paper, either in your journal and then scribbling over it, or ripping that piece of paper up, screwing it and throwing it away. Counsellors quite often suggest writing letters to people to say what you really want to say to them, even if you're not able to send them. Hitting a soft cushion, a pillow or a beanbag can really help, as can that real physical exercise. Go out, walk yourself to the point of exhaustion can sometimes help. Teenagers can find it helpful to listen to loud music, really drowning out the world for a little bit. So try to think about why sometimes they're playing that music so loudly, or why they've got their headphones on and they don't seem to want to talk to you. Having a shower can help, either that warm, soothing water on their bodies, or the freezing cold really gives them a jolt back to a little bit of reality. Again, going outside, even for a stroll, taking the dog for a walk, feeling the sun or the wind on their faces and looking up at the sky. Try and help them to focus on their breathing, how it feels in their bodies to breathe in and out, and really focus on the air going into their lungs. Wrapping up in a blanket or a duvet, fresh sheets and a fluffy blanket. We talked before about how soothing a freshly made bed can be. Some people find tidying or organising something really helps. Talking to someone, a friend, a family member, or calling a helpline. Doing a hobby, something they enjoy that makes them feel calm. Painting, drawing, colouring in, Play-Doh, modelling and Lego are all really great tools that you can use. Some young people find that an ice cube or a cold drink on their skin can help. Some teenagers find that hair pinging, having a hairband pinging, having a hairband on your wrist and pulling that against your skin. Delay tactics can sometimes work. Keep them busy, get them to cook dinner, play a video game, watch TV with you, whatever it is to keep them busy. And your child might want to use an app, something like Calm Harm, so that they've got something on their phone that suggests different techniques they can try when they feel the urge to self-harm. And I can't reiterate enough that every single child is different. So sometimes it helps to try lots of different things until you find something that really supports your child when they're feeling these urges to hurt themselves. If your child tells you that they're struggling, whether they're anxious about exams or friendships or just feeling overwhelmed with life, it's important to make sure that they feel seen and heard. They might not be able to name that feeling or tell you what they're feeling, just so defeated and rubbish about. So it's really important just to listen and be there. You don't have to have answers to some of this. Just listening and being there is really important. If you're worried about something that's come up in conversation, be honest. Be clear with them that you are worried and how you want to support them. So if you are having some of these difficult conversations, it's really important to validate their feelings. So you could say something like, it's really understandable that you're feeling like this, just to let them know that those feelings are okay. There's nothing shameful in those feelings that they've got. Thank them for sharing what's going on, for trusting you, and be encouraging about the way that they've opened up. Again, always let them know that you love them, you're there for them, and they can talk to you whenever they need to. Again, you might not have the answers, but the two of you could find the answers together. Spend some time together. Think about what is making them feel this way. It could be something at home at school, it could be a relationship with a friend or family member, or it could be nothing. Just those feelings are overwhelming them about being a teenager. Let your child know about the helplines, the text lines, the online chat services, the apps that are available. You've shared some of them in the chat tonight, which is brilliant, and we'll share some at the end of tonight. Young people can find it difficult sometimes to tell you because they don't want you to be upset. So reassure them that it's okay to use these services that are out there. And again, a little bit of trial and error until they find something that works for them. Do remind your young person that this is temporary. Reassure them that things will change and that they can feel better. Try and avoid conversations at the height of their distress. It is important to be there for them, but it can be more helpful to talk about it when they're feeling calmer. Sometimes it's important just to be there with them when these feelings are overwhelming. And if you think your child needs professional support, speaking to their GP and school, or considering whether counselling or therapy might help, these are all really good places to start. And sometimes when things are hard, try this well-known grounding technique. It's really good for you and them. It can help just before or just after a really tough conversation. And this can help you and them to focus on the bigger picture. So firstly, we're going to ask your young person to take a deep breath in, and then you're going to ask them to look around for 5 things that they can see and say them out loud. For example, right now I could say, I can see my laptop, I can see a cup, I can see a picture frame, I can see a notice board, I can see the dark sky out of my window. So it's about naming those things that you can actually physically see in front of you. Then 4 things that you can feel. This can be difficult for our young people, but it's about paying attention to your body, thinking of 4 things that you can feel, and again, saying them out loud. For example, you could say to your young person, I can feel my feet warm in my socks. I can feel the hair on the back of my neck, or I can feel warm air on my face. Then you could listen. So listen for 3 sounds. It could be the sound of traffic outside, the sound of typing, or even the sound of someone's tummy rumbling. Again, say these 3 things out loud. And then 2 things that you can smell. If it's allowed and if you're able to, it's okay to move to another spot to sniff something. If you can't smell anything at the moment, or your teenager can't move, then ask them to name their 2 favourite smells. So for me, I'd say coffee and vanilla. So just thinking about all those senses. And then finally, ask them to name 1 thing that they can taste. It might be the toothpaste from brushing their teeth that morning, or a mint or the garlic that they had in their lunch. If you can't taste anything, or they really can't come up with something, ask them to think about their favourite taste. So I think the point of all this is to remember that every little helps. There are no magic wands. There is not an instant fix to some of this. It's just about being there for your teenager, trying everything and anything to help them feel better. And even this one on the screen now about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a great one to share with teenagers, maybe just before a job interview or just before a difficult conversation at school or college. But I think the main question to take away, the main answer to take away is just try.